What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Golf Business Live. I'm your host, Michael Williams, bringing you the best of what's going on in golf right now. And to those of you who are still stuck in 2024, we say Happy New Year. And those of you who are moved into 2025, we say Happy New Year. We have a great show for you today, and we don't want to waste any time, so I'm just going to get right into it, introducing this guy, because he is one of the most dynamic, one of the most engaging and entertaining teachers in the game. He's the host of Course Record with Michael Breed, which airs on CBS prior to coverage on the PGA Tour. He's also a regular contributor to CBS Sports HQ. He also hosts A New Breed of Golf on SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio weekday mornings from 8 to 10 EST, and a Best of a New Breed of Golf weekday mornings from 9 to 10 EST. He hosts a digital series. Gosh, what has he not done? He has been PGA Teacher of the Year, currently ranked as the #1 teacher in New York State, number 16 on Golf Digest iconic top 50 teachers list. He's been Metropolitan PGA Teacher of the Year. He has look, I can sit here all day and read the accomplishments of this extraordinary gentleman, but I can say that he is one of the finest golf teachers that ever lived, and one of the very best friends you could ever have. Please welcome my very good friend, Michael Breed. Michael, welcome to Golf Business Live. How are you, my friend?
I am always great when I'm hanging out with you. So how am I doing? I'm great again.
It's like you're really taxing me, man, with these introductions. Getting to introduce you is like a gauntlet. I
gotta stop doing stuff. That's what I gotta do. I gotta get into retirement.
Just stop it. You're just killing me. Just stop it. But no, it's really just a special occasion when you're around. So I just wanted to start off with just one basic question, which is, so everybody's into like the presidential elections, the presidential certification, everything that's going on now. And we're going to have the State of the Union, and he'll describe the State of the Union in the U.S. as blank. And so when you describe the golf industry in 2024, the state of the golf industry in 2024 is blank. Fill in the blank.
Wow, that's a really good one. So it's great. We've never seen as many participants in the game as there is right now, which is obviously a phenomenal statement on the game. And yet there's a lot of upheaval, if you will. You've got the USGA talking about a ball rollback, the PGA of America, and I just interviewed the new incoming CEO, Derek Sprague. The PGA of America doesn't want to roll the ball back. The PGA Tour doesn't want to roll the ball back, yet the R&A and the USGA do. So I think you're going to see some headbutting coming here in the future. I think you've got what's going on with the PGA Tour and Live. What is that all going to look like? I think you've got some issues with viewership that's taking place in the game of golf. And what does that mean? Why are people not watching the game? Why is it so popular at the amateur level, and yet we're not seeing the eyeballs? You've got TGL launching here. What is that going to mean? There's so many different things that are going on. The game is exploding, and yet it's kind of got these landmines that are out there. So I'm very excited and looking forward to what 2025 is going to hold. I think if you and I sit here and talk on this day in 2026, I think the curtain will have been drawn back and we'll have the answers to a lot of these questions. But I will say this, when it's all said and done, we've got more people playing the game of golf than we've ever had before. The passion for the game as a whole has never been as high. The OEMs are doing quite well in what they're doing. Their bottom lines are extremely good. And so, when it's all said and done, I think there's some distractions that are out there, but past the distractions, I think it's a really healthy environment.
And amen for that. We always like to hear from somebody like you that that golf is going in the right direction, because when you look at it, you see like the scores. When you look at the scores objectively, you see the scores, and they've never been lower, but the players have never been less anonymous in a way. Is it necessary? And I'll just stay on this for one more question, because I really am fascinated by this whole idea of golf being popular on a professional level. Does that lead to it being popular on a consumer level? Is it really necessary for golf to be popular in that way? Do we need to have the Dustin Johnsons and the Tiger Woods and, the names that we know before, or, the Bryson DeChambeau's who comes out of hibernation once a year to win the US Open. And, is it necessary for those guys to be in there, or is it not necessary? Can golf go back to being just a thing that's played by a lot of people and not necessarily watched by a lot of people?
I look, it's an interesting thing, right? And if you compare it to all the other sports, I think the professional sport helps the amateur sport, right? And does the professional sport have to star in the game of golf? No, but it certainly has to have its place. And I think at some point, the game of golf, and this is where I think it's a little bit different than all other sports. The game of golf offers so many different things to so many different people. It's intriguing. The chase, the labs that you will of golf instruction that exist all over the place, and then the efforts to really understand how to perform this task easier that will never go away. In fact, I think that's never been healthier. And I think the part of it is the statistics that have led us to these different understandings in the game. I think the intrigue will always be there. And so I think that's great. I think the camaraderie that the game offers, I think the longevity that the game offers, I think the hope that it offers, I think the pursuit that it offers. I think there's so many different things that the game of golf gives you at an amateur level that's different than any other sport. Baseball, like I stopped playing baseball. I haven't played baseball in 30 years. I'm not as interested in it as I was when I was, 12 years of age. Football's the same thing. I'll watch it a little bit and I'm intrigued by it, but I'm only intrigued by it because my kids like to watch it. Hockey's the same thing. I like going to the games, but I don't find myself on an ice rink skating around getting checked and wondering why I'm missing a tooth. That's not something that intrigues me. But the game of golf, I'm chasing that. I really think I can get better every single day. I feel like if I can just get this one thing, improve my short game a little bit and work on the length of my swing a little bit, like all these little different things, and that never leaves. And so I think unlike the other sports that need the professional game way more than the other way around, the amateur game in golf, I would say it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Without that real interest in the professional game. But I think the professional game is kind of the icing on the cake.
That's a really good way to look at it. That's a really good way to look at it for me, actually. I am really counting on the professional game to lead my interest into being more like them. And you don't necessarily have to do that. You can be wanting a good game all by yourself. You don't want to necessarily have to be like Tiger or be like Rory or be like anybody. And that's a good thing. I think that's really good. That's really good news that you're delivering to us. So let's talk a little bit, and we'll talk more. We have much more talking to get into about that. We'll do that at the golf show later on this month. But for now, let's talk about the technology that's going into teaching the game. Well, let's talk about new technology. What new technology is on the radar for you? Because I know you're always looking for the best new thing to get to people, the best new way to touch someone's heart and to lift their game. What do you find is the best new technology that's allowing you to do that in 2025?
Well, I mean, I'll point blank, and I'm like you. When I go to the PGA show that's going to be coming up here at the end of January, I'm going to learn what new technology is out there. There's a lot of new technology that I don't really know about because it's going to be new in the end of January, right? There's AI, which I'm very curious about, and trying to figure out how certain companies are using AI to benefit the instructor, how they're benefiting the player. So I think that's important. But I think what's fascinating is right here in the phone. I mean, there's so much to be found in that. And I think AI is going to be sitting in that cell phone. I can't wait to see what they're doing, how the golf swing can be videotaped and how you can hit shots and chase a golf ball on the phone with all the different instructional devices that are coming out. If the phone is going to be one that, look, we live in it all the time. I mean, this is what we're attached to. So I think there's some exciting things that we'll see at the PGA show. But the truth of the matter is, when it's all said and done, I think the staples are the video technology is always a benefit. The launch monitors and simulators that have been around for a long time now. I mean, I'm well into my 16th year of using simulators, and probably 20 plus years of using launch monitors. So those are getting better. And to that end, what's fascinating to me about launch monitors and simulators is it's really been a wild, wild west, where there have been these launch monitors and simulators that are out there that say they do these things, but don't really do these things. And they're now starting to all get a little bit better. And I think the very best are getting even better. And I think the very worst are getting better. And so I think there's a lot of improvement, a lot more understanding about getting correct information in these simulators and launch monitors that are benefiting the players that are, kind of trying to figure it out by themselves, if you will. So I think there's a lot of new technology that we're going to see, and there's a lot of old technology that is still very beneficial and getting better as a result of it. So you could almost call it new technology, even though it's been around for a while.
So let's just cut down to brass tacks. How important are simulators for a golf course? Simulators and this type of technology. Do you think that they're now a necessary part of instruction, or are they something that is sort of next level if you can afford it, that sort of thing, but you don't necessarily have to have it to be great? Because there's a lot of people now who are selling it as an essential part of the golf instruction process. Is it really?
So I would say this. I think if you're an elite level coach, it's like having an X-ray machine. You have to have one, right? I mean, if you're a doctor, you have to have an X-ray machine. You have to have an MRI machine. Like, there's a lot of things that you need to have. Dentists are the same. Golf coaches are the same. We're not, filling cavities, but we are trying to fill in some errors that some people are having. And the launch monitors and simulators, provided that they're accurate, are a huge assist. But the other thing that's happening in our business away from the instructional stuff, and that does, I don't want to say require, but use the simulators and launch monitors, are these entertainment setups that restaurants and bars and even, believe it or not, apartment complexes are using to try to help just get people out and about and playing the game of golf. And so, this is an industry now that probably at year's end of 24 was a $1.5 billion industry, that they're saying by the time 2030 rolls around, it'll be a $3.5 billion industry. So I think with the launch of TGL and what you're going to see with that, I think that's going to have a great effect on what takes place with the entertainment part of the game of golf with simulators and launch monitors. So what I would say is that if you are trying to grow your business as a golf coach, it's a must. If you're trying to grow your business as an entertainment center, it's a must. And I think when it's all said and done, we will, in 5 years from now, we will look at clubs and courses that don't have simulators as the what are you doing kind of course, instead of the other way around.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It looks like for now, we have people who are playing the game and just, sort of satisfied that they get around the course at all. If they finish 18, it's high five, we finished. Yeah, we got out of here alive. But people are beginning now to have higher expectations for their game from the beginning. They're really wanting to be better right from the beginning. So a lot of that depends not on the technology, but on the teacher, on the person who's actually relaying the information. So when you're, I know you can't teach everywhere, although you certainly do try. When you're an owner and an operator, what do you advise an owner and an operator to look for in a teacher? What are the traits that you would look for as an owner and operator when you're going to hire somebody? Is being commanding, being imperious. That used to be the way, because that's what you expected from coaches, is being just sort of welcoming, an open presence. Is there any one way or any list of things that you can say belongs in a list for a great teacher?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think one, if you're a great teacher, you're a great coach. I don't necessarily think of myself as a teacher. I think of myself as a coach. And what that means is that I'm looking at all things with an individual. I'm looking at their learning habits. I'm looking at their available time that they have. So one of the things that I'll do with my students is have them go through their day. What is their hours like? How do they use their 24 hours in a day? 8 hours of sleeping, couple hours of eating food, 8 hours working at there's a commute time, all that stuff. How much available time exists for working on the game of golf? That to me is a coaching aspect. How many kids do you have? How old are your kids? Are they out of college? Or are you just having, 3 under the age of 5? So I think you have to pay attention to all things. I think great coaches are passionate. I think great coaches are inquisitive. They're curious. They're trying to gain any and all information that they can, not so that they can be recognized as a great coach, but so that they can help as many people as they possibly can. Like all those things that you say about me and how I've been recognized and all that stuff. I mean, it sounds really good, but it doesn't really mean anything to me, except for the fact that it just means that I've got a lot of equipment in my toolbox that I can help people with, so that when somebody comes to me for a lesson, I can teach them in a fashion that they're going to learn best, and I'll understand the cause and effect, because I have all these little different things, and I've been in all these different spaces to allow me to do so. So, when I look at great coaches, I think great coaches are individuals that are in constant pursuit of perfection, as Vince Lombardi said, and hoping for greatness. And that greatness is reflected not in, pound my chest kind of thing, but in how they played. So I'll give you an example. I played golf not long ago with an individual and a pro member, and this individual was a 13 handicap, and I was working with them over the tournament was a couple days, but I was with them for about 4 days. And by the time the 4th day rolled around, the last day of the tournament, this 13 handicap was standing over a putt on the 18th hole of about 3 feet for a round of 75. And what I was really proud of is, while he missed the putt and shot 76, it's his lowest round that he's ever shot. And I didn't really do anything as far as technique is concerned. I asked him to do one thing with his technique, but it was more of getting him to understand how he talks to himself, the things that he says on the golf course, and his approach to each and every shot as an individual experience. And so for me, I think great coaches are patient. And I think that's one of the things that you have to have. So when I'm looking at what, the grouping of a great coach, mm-hmm. It is a whole lot of little different things kind of put into a blender and stirred up, and it comes out as somebody that ultimately is more concerned with others than themselves. And when you do that, I think you endear yourself to the student, and you allow that student to improve, the system to improvement.
I love it. I really am marking this down as you go through it, so that I can get with just the right teacher for 2025 as I go through my year. If you got time for just a couple more questions.
Oh yeah, sure.
Go little questions, because I always go along with you, and I'm never sorry. So I'm just going to go and stick with it just a little bit longer, a little bit longer. So we went through the right person. Now let's talk about the right equipment. What do you gauge as the best simulator? What are you using for your current simulator setup?
So I use an About Golf simulator, and it's been a company that I chose back in 2008, and they've continued to be, in my opinion, on the forefront of the technology, in large part because of their protocols and how they measure the golf ball itself. And I think that you got to know what's going on with the golf club. All that's important. But if you can't measure the golf ball correctly and what is going on, then it can send you down some really bad paths. And that's not to say that other companies aren't at the same level, but they haven't been at the same level as these guys for as long as these guys have been there. So I'm an About Golf guy. because they are, to me, it's the most honest simulator that is on the market. Now, as far as launch monitors are concerned, I've attached myself with Foresight, which makes, amongst other things, the quad. And again, their measurements are so precise, in large part because both companies have markings on the club and on the ball. And that allows for the capture of the ball and the club to be as accurate as it can be. So I'm with those companies. I think they're the best at what they do. And I fortunately am in a position where I kind of get to choose who I want to go with. Back in 2008, when I made the choice to go with About Golf, I went through a very extensive research project and discovered that they were the best of everybody. Now, they're not the name of TrackMan, but at the same time, they're better than TrackMan is in the indoor space. I think TrackMan is phenomenal outdoors, but they're not nearly as good as About Golf is indoors. And so,
can I ask why? What is it about their technology that does that?
Yeah. So what About Golf does is they measure the side spin of the golf ball so accurately, and when you don't measure the side spin of the golf ball, you will get some distorted numbers. So you'll get distorted distances, you'll get distorted curves, you'll get distorted apexes. Anybody can measure the speed of the ball, and anybody can measure the speed of the club head. It's of all the things, that's the lowest hanging fruit. But the high part is measuring side spin. And About Golf is the very best at measuring side spin. And what I will say is TrackMan is getting better, but I still don't think they've gotten to the level that About Golf is at.
You heard it here first, fans. So let me just get one fun question in before we leave, which is, as a veteran of golf media, how have you seen the culture of instruction change with social media, as with online tips and so forth? Has that made a change in how you deliver information or how you see other people deliver information?
Boy, I'll tell you what, this is a really interesting thing. And talk about the wild, wild west. This is the wild, wild west, because frankly, all you need is a camera and a Twitter handle or an Instagram handle, and you can start putting up content. It doesn't necessarily mean the content is bad or good. You're just putting up content. The damage that takes place in all this is, one, trying to find somebody that really knows what they're talking about, and two, trying to decipher what you need to work on in your game. And I think a lot of people can go down these rabbit holes not knowing what they're doing and efforting to improve something through this internet process that can lead them astray. And I think that one of the things that I would caution everybody to do is, first, you got to figure out what you need to work on. And that takes a little bit of research on yourself. What you got to do is you got to have a couple of different criteria, and there's a lot of different statistical measurements that exist out there. But you got to figure out whether short game is the cancer in your game, or your driver is the cancer in your game. So I think you got to do a little bit of work on that. And then what I think you need to do is you need to investigate the individuals that you're going to get involved with, right? So it's not hard to chase down who Michael Breed is, or who Jamie Mulligan is, who Mark Blackburn is, right? It's not hard to find out that these coaches are very well respected and know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And if you can't find information out about somebody, you can find information on anything on the internet, but it's just like anything else. There's a danger that exists in it. And so when you do a little research, and you gotta kind of invest in it. If you're not going to go and see somebody in person, you got to invest some time in figuring out who you're gonna chase and who you're gonna follow. And then the other thing that I would say is this: it can be addicting, very addicting, to work on something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get better. And what you want to do to get better is you got to find out the elements that you need to have in your swing or short game or putting stroke that's going to allow you to improve. And then you have to understand the importance of patience. And patience is going to mean, hey, you know what? You're not going to get this in 2 days. You're not going to get it in 2 weeks, and you're likely not going to get it in 2 months. But you have to continue the pursuit. A lot of people think that improvement is linear like this, that it's going to start at 0 and then it's going to have a flat line going up to 6. But the way it works is there's a dip that takes place and then it rises. And you have to handle the dip, because it's going to happen. You're going to get worse. It's going to be a struggle. You're changing a motor skill. You're changing a habit, and you got to enjoy the low part of that. And then when you go, now you're going to rise at a much steeper angle. So don't think that right away you start working on something that it's going to go linear. It's not. It's going to have some movement to it. There's going to be a dip. Embrace the dip, and then you'll get to experience the apex. But you got to understand, this is not going to happen overnight. And that would be the things that I would share.
Michael, that is just some sage advice from someone who is more than qualified to give us advice. I would keep you on for the next hour and a half. I guarantee you, at least the next hour and a half.
That's all? Only 90 more minutes?
We're part one. We're part one of the series that we would do on you. But we're going to be we're going to let you go. I know we're going to have you at the GBC Clubhouse stage, the club amenities section, show floor. We're going to have you there. I expect you to get really wild and awesome there too. Where you're talking about golf, the game that we both love. But it is such a pleasure to have you, and we really can't wait to talk to you again, brother. Until next time, thanks so much.
Thank you, Michael, for everything that you do. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I never say no, my friend. Never going to say no to you. So thank you.
Amen, brother.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. That's Michael Breed. It's hard not to be involved with a game like this when you're involved with a person like that. Golf is many things to many people. It's a road to a better job. It's a way to get with your kids. It's a way to meet somebody. It's a way to engage with your friends. But whatever it is to you, it definitely is that to you. Michael is just one of those people who just brings it home to me that golf is really about the people that you meet. And there is no better person to meet than Michael. That's going to do it for this edition of Golf Business Live. I want to thank Harry and Taylor and all the gang at the NGCOA who makes this happen. For the NGCOA, I'm Michael Williams. Thank you so much for listening. Go out and get yourselves a beverage and a crunchy snack, and we will see you.